Have you at any point considered how your number one food sources were invented? Most of us most likely imagine a gourmet specialist or a food organization worker testing interminably to make the ideal blend for palates that are burnt out on old news. A spot of this, a scramble of that, and presto. At last, after days or even a very long time of difficult work, another food is created. As it ends up, unadulterated blind karma is regularly the best designer of all. Here are 10 most loved nourishments that happened by complete mishap. Number 10. Popsicle. In 1905, Frank Epperson concocted the popsicle. This scrumptious fruity treat is something that nearly everybody has tasted. At the point when it is blistering in the mid-year, it is a great idea to have your refrigerator loaded down with these treats. Straight to the point was just 11 years of age when he imagined these ice pops. This kid had gotten some soft drink making hardware and was eager to begin creating pop. Inadvertently, he left the sweet combination out overnight. The night was harshly cold. By the following morning, the stick he had used to mix the soft drink had frozen into the mixture. The youthful creator continued to lick the soft drink mix off the stick. He considered it the Epsicle, naming it after himself. At that point he began to offer his blend to neighbors and companions in his general vicinity. They all appreciated the sweet treat. In 1924, he protected his development and renamed it as Popsicle. Number 9. Chocolate chip cookies. In 1930, Ruth Wakefield concocted the chocolate chip treat. You might be considering how a particularly scrumptious treat might have been made by complete misstep. However, obviously, it was. Shockingly, she and her caring spouse claimed a traveler stop called the Toll House Inn. One day at the hotel, she was making chocolate treats for her numerous visitors and found that she had run out of Cook's chocolate, one of the key fixings. Rather than rushing to the store to get more pastry specialist's chocolate, she hacked up some Nestle chocolate and put it into the treat batter. She accepted that the Nestle chocolate would fan out to make an entire chocolate treat when it was prepared in the broiler. All things considered, she concocted the chocolate chip treat. This one little error made significance in America's food history. Number 8. Ice cream cones. In 1904, Arnold Fornashew created ice cream cones, with some help from a fellow vendor. Business was booming on that hot summer day, and eventually, Arnold ran out of plastic cups in which to serve his mouth-watering ice cream. Luckily, a pastry chef was selling pastries nearby and came to Arnold's rescue. The pastry chef had some waffles left over. He showed Arnold how to roll them up to form a cone-like shape that would easily hold a good amount of ice cream. This was a delicious way to serve ice cream, and Arnold's customers loved it. Today, ice cream is served in wafer cones, waffle cones, kiddie cones, and even waffle cone bowls. We can all thank Arnold Fornashew and the pastry chef for this great invention. Number 7. Sandwich. During the 1700s, John Montague, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, found that 2 cups of bread with lettuce, tomatoes, onion, and mustard inside tasted tasty. His story, you inquire? There are numerous renditions that propose why and how the sandwich was made. One well-known story is that John Montague bet a great deal. It took up such a large amount of his time that he couldn't in any way, shape or form leave a serious game. So he regularly mentioned that meat be brought to him between 2 dainty cuts of bread. That way, he could eat a dinner without utilizing a fork or getting his hands grimy by straightforwardly contacting the meat. Another variant of the story is that Montague sat at his work area for quite a long time, attempting to make a sans utensil supper that could top off his stomach and still be not difficult to eat. Ultimately, he concocted the sandwich. As time went on, individuals thought about the various kinds of sandwiches that we eat today. Individuals currently fill sandwiches with meat, veggies, sauces, and even various kinds of desserts. Number 6. Tofu. Numerous accounts have recommended why and how tofu was imagined, yet here is quite possibly the most unique. As per legend, an old Chinese cook coincidentally dropped a piece of nigari into a pot of soybean milk. A turning sour impact was made, which made tofu. The gourmet expert served the new, unidentified substance to his clients, and shockingly, they adored the new food. The cook kept on serving the dish, making numerous clients very happy. To this day, individuals eat tofu as a substitution for meat or similarly as a solid veggie lover choice. The extraordinary thing about it is that it has an aftertaste like whatever it is cooked in. Tofu is highlighted in numerous Asian dishes. Number 5. Potato chips. In 1853, George Crumb worked at Moon's Lake House close to Saratoga Springs. He was a culinary specialist and needed to satisfy his clients' orders with no defects. At some point, a reliable client requested a cluster of singed potatoes, however didn't make the most of their thickness. So he sent them back to the kitchen to be changed, however thinner. His demand was paid attention to, and the cook satisfied his subsequent request. Shockingly, the subsequent cluster was not to the client's norms. This happened a couple of times, each bunch not being dainty enough for the client's liking. Tired of the objections, George took a potato and cut it as slender as possible, realizing that this must be the request that the client might want to eat. George cinched and salted the potato cuts, attempting his hardest to make them as heavenly as possible. He brought them out to the client and trusted that this group would be palatable. The client adored them, and this new food was named the potato chip. Number 4. Cornflakes. In the 19th century, William and John Kellogg imagined corn pieces. These two siblings worked at Battle Creek Sanitarium, where vegetarianism and realizing that how generally will be sound were very important. One day, the Kelloggs were searching for a substitute for bread. In the first place, they bubbled wheat. Tragically, yet luckily for us, they heated up the wheat excessively long. At the point when they carried it out, it fell into numerous drops. In conclusion, they heated it, and poof! Out came the bread flakes. Many individuals imagined that this was flavorful, yet the Kellogg's realized that they could improve it. The siblings subbed corn for wheat, and corn pieces were conceived. Number 3. Slurpees. In the last part of the 1950s, Omar Nedlick imagined the treat we as a whole know and love, Slurpees. You may have had this scrumptious beverage as a reward at the cinema or as a yummy sweet. However, did you know the story behind the development of the Slurpee? Nedlick possessed a Dairy Queen establishment. Contrasted with today, the shop's machines were not exactly as dependable. At some point, the soft drink wellspring wasn't working, so Nedlick stuck jugs of pop in the cooler. He kept them in somewhat long, and the fluid got slushy and strong. He served the invention to his clients, and shockingly, they cherished it. Nedlick kept on accepting solicitations for this slushy pop, and he continued to consider it a Slurpee. Number 2. Dippin' Dots. In 1988, microbiologist Kurt Jones imagined our number 1 sweet bite, Dippin' Dots. Jones was attempting to sort out some way to take care of cows quicker and simpler while utilizing less materials. He froze a cluster of cow feed at around 212 degrees Celsius, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and the subsequent pellets could undoubtedly be taken care of to the holding up cows. Jones found that this equivalent strategy could be utilized with human food. He tried it with frozen yogurt and made Dippin' Dots the pleasant summer treat that we as a whole love. Number 1. Coca-Cola. In 1886, John Pemberton developed Coca-Cola. He was an injured veteran who was dependent on morphine. Pemberton needed to make a substitution for the morphine to reduce his enslavement. He tested commonly until he formulated a recipe with modest quantities of cocaine and cola nut. To this day, Coca-Cola is a notable soft drink brand that is sold all through the US. You can get this beverage at the cinema, at a celebration, at the store to bring home with you, or elsewhere you can consider.